welcome back for Metaphysical Monday for October. I've got a lot of goodies for you, but before, I'm going to start with the message, which is, this is shadow season. So what we do is we reflect and we think about our darker self and try to find and make goals to make ourselves lighter. Usually by looking at those darker things, we do find our way into the light. What have I been doing for shadow season? Well, this is September, so I'm kind of in the middle of it. I haven't started my book work yet, which was that book I mentioned in a few videos ago, and I'm not sure I'm going to because I ended up getting into a different sort of path where when I was going through my old notes, I found like journals, and it really made me look at some darker things. Now, the first time I ever heard of shadow season was actually shadow work was through my son. My son, when he was in college, must have taken a course, or his girlfriend, her family was interested in metaphysics, and I would hear about the shadow self. Around about 2019, 2018, I had some really tough times, and when I look back in my journal, it really actually went, oh my goodness, back to 2011, 2012, maybe 2010, but it gradually got worse with different things. And I had a lot of, I was really not in a good space in 2016. And then I had one thing that had kept me going. And then in 2019, that one thing completely was obliterated. Fortunately, the other things I had struggled with were better. So I was doing okay. I was in a good space to find those truths out, but it really rocked my world. And by reading those things, it kind of triggered old memories, and I've been kind of working on things with the people that I hadn't worked out those things with. And so that's what I've been doing for my shadow work this year. And when I started actually doing personal shadow work myself and looking at the darker side of the year as something that, you know, I always had sort of seasonal depression, I found Sage Goddess in 2019, and that's when I really started learning about shadow work and how people practicing metaphysics use it. Now, I have mentioned that to me as a Christian, I often think that our shadow work is during Lent. And in fact, when I did a Lenten diary a few years ago, it reminded me so much of shadow work. Now, there was another witch actually that I watched on YouTube, a Wiccan. I never look at anybody that does dark magic, although that person went into some areas, I think, and that's why I didn't follow them completely. And interestingly, they had been a Catholic, so there was some faith base there, but I think they went a different direction when they had their faith crises than I have in my personal life. I usually find Jesus, find God, find that my original core path when I go through shadow work, which I did through Sage Goddess, ironically. My daughter at that time was engaged when I found Sage Goddess to somebody that was not a Christian, openly pagan, and since has gone much darker. And I don't want to talk about that, but there are people that practice dark things, and unfortunately it sounded like that may be the path he's taking. I don't know. Hopefully, I pray that he takes the light. But anyway, that isn't, shadow work is your own personal thing, not anyone else. It's you. It's a time to be kind of selfish and look at yourself and look at those things that are holding you back from being the best you that you can be, which is kind of what we do in Lent. We give up those things that really are holding us back from our connection to Jesus. Now, it's interesting that our shadow season in the Western Hemisphere is the light season and coincides with like when our April is, but they of course celebrate Easter when we do, but their light season is the opposite. And then conversely, when we have our Lenten season, they're doing their shadow season in the southern hemisphere. So like I mentioned, this person that was a practicing Wiccan that I watched on YouTube, Mama Squirrel. Anyway, Mama Squirrel said one time that when I was doing I decided to do shadow work during shadow season when she did, because I got a late start. She was getting a late start. We were kind of simpatico. And I used the book that she recommended, but I never finished the light part, which is kind of funny because, but it sounded like she kind of got off track too. So, but, and I may have finished more of it than she did, and that's okay. But anyway, and sometime I'll dig that book out and maybe show it to you, because I do want to kind of use that book during my Lenten season. And I'll talk more about that in like March or April, whenever we're going through Lent, February, March, April. But anyway, so I may end up using that book next year. I don't know. Maybe I'll just use it throughout the year. I don't know. Maybe I'll use it yet. This is mid-September, not even mid-September. We're still in almost like early September. It's Friday the 13th, actually, when I'm filming this. In September, but so I'm kind of ready, because I went through that this past week, and I'm kind of ready to do that. So I'm kind of in the middle of my shadow work for this year. So I don't know if I'll finish that book work. I've looked it over, so that's good. That's always a plus. I read through it. So that's where I am. I don't know if I'll update you on what happened with my shadow work. I may. But I'm not positive, because of the fact that shadow work is so personal, and it should be. Anyway, so that's my message. I'm going through shadow work. This past week, our sermon, when I watched my church, and I've been watching the Methodist church I grew up in, the minister talked about Jesus being there for you in those times, like when you have something that's really stressing you, and you can't really share with your partner or your loved ones, because they're already having stress, and it would just add to their stress. So he went through something involving his passport, because he is an immigrant to the United States, and from Germany, oddly, which I sometimes think I wish my grandmother were living, because she'd really get a kick out of it, because he would have been able to speak her language, which that wasn't the case in the 50s when she went to that church. But anyway, he had this passport issue, because his passport was really actually, unbeknownst to him, probably expired. And there was a problem too, because it was close to expiration. So I've been thinking about that message this week, and thinking about how there are lots of times when, and that's part of my shadow work, where like my husband might be having issues at work, and sometimes I'll put some of my stressors on him, or my daughter has many different stressors, either in her personal life, because she's raising an autistic son, and she just went through a divorce, and that was a whole process, and she's still, that's a long, even though she's divorced now, it's a long time process to adjust to that. And it's an emotional roller coaster for a while, and I see her leaning into that, and she's working through that, I think, through her shadow season. So, it's something that is good for you to do, to be introspective. I think lean on your Savior, or pray to whatever higher power you have, and I hope you do have a higher power. that is positive in nature, because that is really, really the best thing for you, I believe. That's my personal opinion. I'm not the high authority, but anyway. And I'm trying to remember that as I go through my shadow season and looking at that as kind of one of my shadows, to I'm cognizant of other people having stress, and I do try to help them out, but sometimes I just, I don't take it to God. Instead, I still take it to my reliable people, and that maybe I should take it to God first before I do that. And it's a little softer, a little bit gentler, and not going to add stress to them. And usually, the stress that I have or the things that bother me have nothing to do really with my husband, my daughter, my son, my daughter-in-law, my friends, anything. It's me. And we get in our own way, and that's what I'm kind of looking at this shadow season. So I hope that you're leaning into, and I found, since I've been doing shadow work in the fall, I don't get so depressed in the fall. I work through it. I don't just all of a sudden, am stressed out, depressed, taking it out as much on my husband, my daughter, my son. I get reflective, and it's a lot softer. I remember my husband and I didn't know I was going to do this when I wrote up my little outline, but this is a good story. My husband and I, when we were in Europe, in 1989, we took a trip that was involved with his work, but we made it our actual honeymoon a year after we were married. And the owner of his company took us to this place where it was very traditional. It was a Dutch company he worked for, and he took us to this little thing that showed the Dutch culture in the past and so on. And I wanted to buy some pottery, and my husband was like very against it, and really watching our budget, and really it just wasn't like him. He was really stressed, and I still don't know, really, there may have been something more making him nervous there. And I was nervous by these people because they were affluent, and the wife had taken me shopping, and she got this really very expensive designer stuff. Her bags were like $800, and I'd rather put $800 in my wallet than put it on a purse, and back then that was a lot of money because this is the 80s. And, I was walking around in my $25 bag, and, I thought it was leather, or 30, whatever it was, and it was real leather, and that was fine with me. Anyway, and I tried to dress nicely, and there's a lot of other things I could get into on that trip, but and maybe I will in another video. Maybe that would be an interesting thing. But anyway, I just felt very inferior, and I had a very good education. I went to Madison. I met notables during my college days, and I grew up with people that are, kind of makers and shakers in the universe of our world. And but I felt very inferior. And I know I'm from a humble beginning, but I felt really, anyway. So there were all these emotions going through me, and I remember the lady said to me, and she was just she was actually maybe younger than me, or about my age, but anyway, she said, Jeff and I kind of had a quarrel, and they could tell. And we never quarrel hardly at all. That was probably one of our 5 fights, 6, maybe 10 in our whole marriage. And but this was the first big one since we had been married. We'd had one prior to that, and that was more on about how serious we were. But this was the first, you know, little tangle. And anyway, I realized that I was really kind of depressed on that whole trip. Now, I may have been pregnant too, and then I lost the baby on the way home. So there were other things going on, but I did kind of know that, yeah, sometimes like in September, October, I'll get the blues. For what reason, I don't know. Maybe it's my birthday coming up. Maybe it's the fact that my husband and I were married in the fall. So, you know, those are times you reflect on your life and where you're at. So it may be those things. Plus I had my children in the fall. So, you know, it's a time where of great emotion for me. So, you know, so when I found Sage Goddess and learned more about shadow work, after my son had mentioned it, and learn more about that. And that was kind of why I explored Sage Goddesses, because both of my children were involved with people that had more pagan looks on life. Their families did, where my family was very traditional. My husband's family even more so. I converted to Catholicism because my husband's family was so connected to the church. And the relatives that, or the in-laws that were closest to us, were Catholic, and I wanted my children to have a commonality once we started having children with their cousins. And by that time I was comfortable. We had gone every Sunday to our local parish, and you know, I was comfortable with that. Since the new Pope and his political views, and so on, my husband is disenchanted with the Catholic Church. For me, it's more about the abuse that seems very transparent to have occurred in the Catholic Church. I am not as keen on it. Now, every church can have people that do those things, but with our children, you know, my whole thing for converting to Catholicism is that we would have one strong faith, and that caused more shadow, more conflict in me, from going from being a very active member of my Methodist church to being every Sunday sit in the pew Catholic. And that's kind of what I was, although my husband went more regularly than I did. I have Hashimoto's, and sometimes when I was working, I needed to rest on the weekend, and Sunday was my day, or Saturday, you know, was my day to rest. If we could make it to Saturday evening, I could do that. But I was not good at, and I still am not great at getting up on Sundays, or any morning for that matter, because, you know, I'm kind of a night owl, and also I now watch my grandson, who is more of a night owl than I am to an extent, but then I am totally awake by the time he goes to sleep. So yeah, I go to the bed in the morning, get up at around noon, and then we're good to go. But so I'm kind of learning to do some things at night and write sort of in the evenings at night, and I want to get my writing at a little earlier time in the day, some days of the week, and that's what I'm going to be working on once I get the things I have planned for this channel filmed. So, I mean, there's a whole thing, but then I always think of new things to create for you, and so I don't know, but as long as I'm doing something, that's good. So this is kind of where we're at, is that these things came to me, and eventually I now acknowledge that I get depressed during this time. It's a good time to reflect, lean into it, do my shadow work, confront those things that are holding me back to being my personal best, and make goals on how I'm going to move forward and through that. And so that's what my shadow work is, what I do for shadow work. You may do something else. You may not even do shadow work, and that is absolutely fine. Now, of course, I have goodies to share with you. And so I've gone through that part, and I hope that you will stay tuned for these goodies that I have in my bag, because I have a lot from a lot of different shops. And let's start with this one. And the thing is, I don't know what shop it came from right offhand, but I can tell you what these are. And what I think I'm going to do this time is I'm going to list the shops that they came from. But this is from Etsy, of course. And I don't have the necklace that I usually wear in October. It's not October. I can't find it. I think it's in a different jewelry box that isn't in my room. So I'm going to have to go and look for it. But it's Merlinite. And so I got some Merlinite earrings to go with a pendant that I have that I absolutely love. Aren't they pretty? And they're dark, kind of a black with gray fleck. The pendant is, but you know, I have gotten so many compliments on that pendant, and I'll try to wear that sometime in the near future with these, and then point it out and let you know what shop this came from. And well, you know, I'll let you know in the comments. But this is from Etsy, and it came in this little burlap bag. I am probably not use the burlap bag. I'm going to keep those out. I'm going to actually just keep them in the plastic bag. I am allergic to burlap, but it was a very nice bag. Definitely giftable, but unfortunately I can get hives from burlap, but it, you know, came in this bag. So I'm going to keep that out of there for my purposes. Next I have, because October is Opal month, I was into pink opals at some point this fall. And I purchased this for myself. I picked another something for someone else. And it's kind of peachy pink, but it's definitely pink. Very pretty, especially in the gold. I don't have a lot of gold in this type of jewelry, so that was kind of neat to have. And I think it's silver over gold. And I have this one in this really pretty giftable box, again from Etsy. And these are the pink with gold opal earrings, and they're very pink and very pretty. And let's see how that look together. And they'll be kind of okay separated. But yeah, they're very pretty. This is Dragon's Blood Jasper from SunbeamStones. Another good stone to use and wear at this time of year. Lots of good healing properties with Dragon's Blood. And that shop, I believe, gave me this little free crystal. So that was kind of neat. Now this is another pink opal, but in silver. And it almost has a purple to it. That's very pretty. It almost looks like, I almost say a pink agate. Do you see that fire right there? Isn't that pretty? So that's another one. It's October, the veil is close, so a lot of times one might do a little more scrying, a little more connection to ancestors, and so to do that, you might use a pendulum. So I did get a new pendulum to add to my collection in a stone I did not have. And this stone is, and it's from Sage Goddess. I bought this prior to all the big hullabaloo at Sage Goddess. And really Sage Goddess, so many of the things lately have been rehashes. It's just not, it's not quite the same thing. You have products, but you don't really have great connections to them. It's kind of sad that it's gone through that. I've noticed a difference, and it's not for the good. It's just kind of another business, and it used to be something kind of special. Actinolite. And it says, next to Nigerian, it is the most powerful mineral for psychic protection. It prevents psychic attack, clears negative thoughts, and heals the root and heart chakras, bringing grounding and compassion. Actinolite also prevents indecision and opens pathways to creativity and success. Carry with you, place in your medicine bag, pouch, or hold during spiritual work. So you can scry with this and it'll protect you from attack, which I think is always good. And this is what it's saying. So can you show me yes? Can you show me no? Can you show me yes? Can you show me no? Okay, I'm not going to do any more than that because I haven't smudged it properly and so on. I have smudged it, but not properly. I haven't cleared this area properly, so I don't like to do that. No, but I'll probably be doing that later. Anyway. So, but I thought that might be kind of woo-woo fun for you to see. That's how all of these react with me. So, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about woo-woo some other time. I may do woo-woo videos in the future, but not right now. Then this one is from a shop called TheSilverWren. It came so beautifully packaged that I had to just wait for this one to show you. It looks like this inside. Look at that present. And I said thank you. And I probably, because I did look at it and did a little review on Etsy. Again, I got this from Etsy, but it's called TheSilverWren. And they have this beautiful box, and they've been in business quite a while. I think over 10 years. And you slide it out. It has this gorgeous thing here. I mean, it really looks like it's going to be something special. Little polishing cloth given with it. And what do we have? Okay. At this time of year, we start thinking about topaz. It's the October birthstone, and I have these beautiful hoop earrings, rainbow topaz, to complete kind of a set now, because I have a necklace that's like this, and then I have this. I have lots of green topaz, green topaz pendant. I love topaz, love my topaz. And this is a rainbow of it. I have a little rainbow strand, and so that was kind of the big thing that attracted me, because I like to complete of jewelry and pair them together. So that was fun. I don't always do that, because I even make suites of earrings. Like these are my owls that I made, owl earrings that I made a few years ago, and I made a pendant that has some clay I made almost 10 years ago now, because I made those right after I retired. I took a class in metal work, in metal clay, and so I had some of that. I have a kiln I've never used, and clay pieces I made almost 10 years ago and I still haven't fired. I need to do that sometime, one of two, but I have my little charging shell for, you know, the peacock, but it's time to put the peacock away. And from Wrist-Mary, Etsy.com, I have this, and it's again packaged nicely for gift giving. I have this beautiful crow. So I'm going to be switching out my peacock for the crow. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I love it. And I like having different things to put out for different parts of the year. And so I can have lots of beautiful things, not so much clutter. So I'm trying to learn to be intentional and just have a few beautiful things that I swap out. I'm paring down a little bit too on my beautiful things. So that's another thing you have to learn to do when you do this. I haven't figured out quite how to organize it. I'm going to put bubble wrap in this right now because I'm going to be using it very soon. I'm going to put the other one away probably later today. Store that for the next season. And in my room, and I have a drawer that I'm dedicating to that, or some drawers. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And eventually to organize all of this, but I don't have it quite done yet. Then I have this from what is almost a favorite, although a lot of these that I've showed you are favorite shops now. But this is like another very favorite shop, starting to be. And it's called, but it's expensive jewelry, on the border of very fine jewelry, and kind of fine jewelry. Amtidjewellry, handmade with love. And we are truly grateful for your support, and we hope to see you again soon. With love, Rob and Sandy. So it's kind of like a fine jewelry store on Etsy. And I've got lots of favorites in my cart. And they gave me those little bead earrings, and they always seem to have a nice thank you gift. And this time I got this pair of earrings. I got light earrings before, with like crystal beads, and I've worn them actually on videos. And these are more brown like, so more like the shadow season. So these are a nice little extra pair to wear here and there. I like to put something like that in my single hole, and I'll probably use one of them at some point in time this fall. And again, so giftable, already wrapped. And I saved a nice little polishing cloth, gorgeous polishing cloth. In fact, it's pretty lavender and very wrapped. And it says the jewelry shop. And so, you know, I could put something on this list for my husband to give me for my birthday, and wouldn't have to wrap it. Just saying. So and it's fun. It's kind of like opening a present. And again, I'm looking at topaz. Now this, I'm not sure if it's going to fit. It may end up being a rewrapped and a gift for someone else if it doesn't, because can you see how beautiful the presentation is? And it came with, ordered the largest size that you can get, and I don't know if that's going to fit my wrist. I have very, very thick wrists, but it may It may. I was hoping it would have a slide, but it doesn't. But that's okay. So it's one of those I'm going to have to see if my husband can help me with, or hey, maybe I think I got it. I ordered it. If I can, I think I can do it on my own. Let's see. Oh, lovely. It's gorgeous. Look at that. Oh, I can have a dainty little bracelet on my wrist. And it fits. Ah, I ordered their largest size. I could have even gone a little smaller, but I'm glad I went this size because it looks like doesn't make my arm look so fat. I love it. Loving it. It's got the rainbow. So now I know I can get bracelets from that company. So that makes me so happy. So very, very happy. So I'm going to probably take it off right now because I don't want to. It's going to be definitely something I save for dressy occasions, or days I'm wearing lighter things, but I'm excited that I can actually wear a nice little piece of jewelry, which of course I'm having trouble taking off now, just because I've got those old fingers of mine. But don't want to break it, so that's why I'm being extra careful here. There we go. It's just really pretty. See how pretty? And it fits. That was something I kind of was concerned about. And I'm going to put it back in the box. And just look at that presentation. Pretty for a gift, you know. They open it up and then there it is. There it is. So very, very nice, very sweet. And I am so happy it works for me and my chunky wrists. So I have a lot of content here to edit. Oh. Looks like I also had another Jasper stone here as well. Isn't that neat? Yeah. So I have a couple of little stones. I think that was from that Stone's Throw jewelry. So anyway, I'm gonna put my, see, these were bracelets that I restrung and I put an extra bead on. So you'll see me do that with my bracelets if I purchase them. If I make them myself, that's a different story. Anyway, in the future, I won't be buying as much. I may instead show you some things that I made in a certain month. That might be something I do starting mid next 2025. I'm not sure, but I have enough for 2024 and most of 2025 at this point to share with you. So I'll keep doing this on Metaphysical Mondays and hope you enjoy them. And until next time, I hope you enjoy your shadow season, learn from it and rise like a phoenix from the ashes at the end of October and early November. So we'll be seeing you soon. I'll be talking a little bit more about metaphysics in November, and maybe a touch on shadow season, but not too much. And we'll be talking next month about All Saints Day, the veil being closer at the earlier part of the month, and as we move towards the light, how it feels, and who knows what else I'll be fitting in there. We'll see soon. Don't forget to put that thumbs up button, and please do subscribe to my channel, An Accidental Retiree. I'm Tammy, and bye for now, and God bless. See you soon.